الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله تعالى نحمده ونستعين به ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تبارك وتعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله تعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the ni'mah of Islam. Alhamdulillah ala ni'mat al-Islam wa kafa biha ni'mah. We praise Allah for the bounty of Islam. If He was the only bounty that He subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us, by Allah it would be sufficient. Allah Azza wa Jal has blessed the believers in this ummah by sending them the best of scriptures, Al-Quran, by revealing to His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Al-Quran, the best of scriptures, and He blessed this ummah by sending them Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the final and the best of all prophets and messengers. He subhanahu wa ta'ala has completed our way of life for us in a way that it does not need anything to be added to it. اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. Today, or this day, I have completed your religion for you, and I have completed my favor upon you. And I have chosen for you Islam as your way of life. So Islam is perfect system of life, perfect way of life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen for this ummah. And He made it comprehensive to everything that we need. It tends to the body and it tends to the soul. It tends to our times of sadness and it tends to our times of happiness. It shows us our rituals from A to Z, what we need to practice, how we need to practice it, what we need to stay away from, what we need to celebrate, and what we should not celebrate. When the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina, as reported by Anas radiallahu anhu, he found that the people of Medina had 2 days of festival, 2 days in which they played. So he asked Anas radiallahu anhu, what are these 2 days? He said, Ya Rasulullah, these are 2 days in which the people of Medina used to get together and celebrate and eat food and play and do things like that. The Prophet ﷺ said, verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has replaced you with that which is better, Yawm al-Fitr wa Yawm al-Adha, the day of Fitr and the day of Adha. And subhanAllah, this hadith, although it's pretty short, but it has very deep meaning. The fact that these are the only 2 things that we are to celebrate as Muslims, and nothing else. The other very important meaning is the fact that a celebration, a festival, Eid as we call it, is something that has to do with a religion. These things only come from religions, and the majority of non-Muslim celebrations, non-Muslim a'yad, they come from paganistic or pagan religions. They're deeply rooted in paganism. And I quote a few things like Valentine's Day comes from paganism, birthdays come from paganism, New Year's from paganism, celebrating the birth of any prophet from paganism, all of these things, and many others, Easter, paganism, all of those things, they come from one or another religion that worships idols, that worships none, that does not worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, takes partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or they don't even know the existence of Allah, and instead of worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they worship other entities and other so-called deities. And the one thing that is taking place tomorrow, what they call Haloween, is no different in this particular sense that it comes from paganism. But what's different about it is that it is a purely evil celebration. It is a celebration of evil. It is a celebration of a shaitan. So every single year on October 31st, millions and millions of children across North America and the world, you'll see them painting their faces and wearing different uniforms, walking around from door to door, in their neighborhoods, collecting candies, collecting treats. And you look at that and you say, well, this is fun. This is actually fun for the kids. What could be harmful about that? What is wrong with that? This is the mentality of the majority. And you will find also that the adults, they decorate their homes with, what do they decorate? With flowers and nice colors? No. They decorate with ghostly figures and carve scary faces on pumpkins and candles to create what they call jack-o'-lantern and so on and so forth. Even the decoration has a very evil connotation, and people just fail to see. They became so normal. And this is something that, subhanAllah, the scholars of Islam, they warn the believers from ما يسمى بإلف المعصية. And I'll give you an example. A scholar comes, or a person, let's say, comes from Saudi, where all the women are covered properly, and they land in an airport in America, New York, Chicago, Washington, wherever. And the first thing that shocks them when they get off the airplane is what? The way the women are dressed. They start seeing women in miniskirts, women in shorts, and the first time it just shocks them like a slap on their faces. You see them covering their eyes. But over time, they stay here a long time, or they come here a lot, and it becomes normal. You look at it, oh well, they don't do isti'adah anymore. If getting used to al-ma'asiyah, getting used to things that are not inappropriate, because of, you see them all the time, they become absolutely normal, subhanAllah. So similarly, people, they start decorating their homes with things that are scary, and all of a sudden this becomes normal. It becomes actually something that they look forward to. It becomes something that is fun for them. It's a time of joy. It is a time of joy, subhanAllah. So, millions and millions of people indulge in these customs. And inshallah, we will shed some light on the significance and the origin of Halloween, and why Muslims and Christians alike should not participate in it. And I'm bringing the Christian perspective as well, because we live in a country where the majority of people, that are our neighbors and our friends and our co-workers, are Christians. And we need to have this knowledge to be able to discuss this matter in an open way with them and share some knowledge with them. Because when people are indulging in something that they're not supposed to, well, they rarely look for the knowledge behind it, because they don't want to spoil it for themselves. It's fine, it's okay, it's harmless, let's keep doing it, I don't even want to know. But subhanAllah, it is our duty as Muslims to inform people. This is our duty, subhanAllah. So, where does Halloween come from? The ancient call them Celtics or Celtics. The original word is Celtics. Everyone knows the Boston Celtics, the basketball team. Well, actually, the word is Celtics, or the Celts. Irish, Scottish, Welsh people. There was before what we came to know as the people of Great Britain. There are Irish and Scottish and English and people that speak English. They were actually people before that lived in that area of the world, that big island. And they were the Celts or the Celtics people, or the Celtic people. They had a festival called Samhain. It is considered by most historians and scholars to be the grandfather or the predecessor of Halloween. Samhain was the New Year's Day for the pagan Celts. The Celts were pagan people. They had no divine religion. They worshipped idols. It was also the day they considered it as the Day of the Dead. A time when it was believed that the souls of those who had died during the year were allowed access into the land of the dead. So they believed that people who died during that year, their souls were stuck until the day of Samhain, who became Halloween later on. Only on that day are they allowed into the land of the dead. I guess it's better for them, more fun for them to be with their kind, the dead. Being amongst the living is not fun anymore. It's gloomy for them. I guess that's what they believe. So many traditional beliefs and customs associated with Samhain continue to be practiced too. This day on the 31st of October. And the most notable of these customs and practices is leaving offerings for food or drink, food and drink. Now we have candy instead. Before it used to be fruits and vegetables and water and things like that, but now it's candy. Leaving these offerings to masked and costume revelers, and also the lighting of bonfires and etc. All these things that associated with, although people don't light those fires anymore, maybe they do so in the countryside where they have the space for that and they would not get in trouble. So elements of this festival were incorporated into Christian festivals. Now, I open a quote here, a quotation mark here. And this is no offense to our friends that are Christians or any Christian person, but it has been a pattern all throughout Christianity for especially the Catholic Church, to take pagan rituals and pagan festivals and incorporate them into Christianity to bring more people. Because people were used to it. So they say, well, there is 5,000 or 6,000 people, for example, following this trend. Let's incorporate it into something that is Christian and bring those people, add them to the church. A good example is Valentine's. Valentine's, it was basically a ritual of adultery. But subhanAllah, because of this saint that is called Saint Valentine, who actually was marrying people in secret because of this king that was not allowing his soldiers to get married, and he was arrested and put to death because of that. He became the champion of people that love each other, basically, and they took the paganistic part of it and incorporated it into Christianity. And there you have it. You have yourself a holiday that people know, but is part of Christianity. Same thing with Mother's Day. Mother's Day was the same thing. It was incorporated from a paganistic ritual. It was a goddess that I can't remember the name of that goddess right now, that was actually worshipped, and that that ritual was incorporated into Christianity. So it's a pattern that you'll see all throughout the years in Christianity, for them to incorporate rituals that were paganistic, but they brought them into the religion. So it was incorporated into a Christian festival, and it was started being called Hallow Evening or Hallow Eve, and then gradually it became Halloween. You know, with time, I guess it just flows better, it just sounds nicer. Until recent times, in some parts of Europe, it was believed that on this night the dead walked amongst them. So until recently, probably in the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, a lot of parts of Europe, they believed this. And they also believed that it's the day that witches and warlocks flew in their midst, and then they will see them, you know, I guess the stuff with the brooms is true, huh? That they show us in cartoons. SubhanAllah. But this is what people believe. And in preparation for these things, they built bonfires to ward off the evil spirits, basically. So by the 19th century, witches' pranks were replaced by the children's tricks. You see? So basically the idea is, these people, they're worried about themselves and worried about their livestock from evil spirits. So they would put offerings to feed them, so they would stay away from them. But starting in the 19th century, the idea was changing to something that's supposed to be fun towards the children, and they put the children. So you give basically treats, so you don't get any tricks. So they don't pull any tricks on you. So this spirit of Samhain was once believed to be a wild and powerful. We're now, and subhanAllah, the devout Christians do recognize this. They recognize that this is an evil thing, and they reject it. But subhanAllah, especially after discovering that the so-called gods and goddesses and other spiritual beings of the pagan religion that it comes from, the Celtic religion, were nothing but a diabolic deception. This is deception from the shaitan. The shaitan works on people of all religions to create innovation and bid'ah even in their religion. So this basically, Halloween is an innovation in the Christian religion that is already full of innovations. So people continue to celebrate this by putting pictures and depictions of vampires and skeletons and symbols of evil creatures. But subhanAllah, what they don't understand, what's behind the scene of all of this, is that Halloween is considered the most sacred night for the Satanists, for the devil worshippers. And as you know, there is a religion nowadays, and we see people all the time, people that dress all in black and color their hairs in crazy colors, and they have piercings everywhere, among many others. Those are adhere and belong to that religion of Satanism. They worship a shaitan, wal-'iyadhu billah. Now, very quickly, now there's you know what jack-o'-lantern is, right? What is it? Yeah. Jack-o'-lantern, apparently, it comes from Irish folklore, but you're right. But I'll give you the history behind it. From Irish folklore, about a man named Jack, who tricked the devil into climbing a tree. Once the devil was up the tree, Jack carved a cross on the trunk, preventing the devil from coming down. So the devil then made a deal with Jack not to allow Jack into the hellfire when he died, and then he would let him come down. So obviously this is a belief that you will find in having conversations with Christians a lot. This is a firm belief that the devil is the one in charge of the hellfire. And he's the one that brings people in, or he's the one that allows people not to come in. Am I right, Todd? Or yeah, some people think that. SubhanAllah, Allah Azza wa Jal has angels in charge of the hellfire, and He's the one and the only one that decides who entered the hellfire and who is spared. We ask Allah Subhanahu wa Taala to save us from the hellfire. Now, this person, Jack, for some reason, because he couldn't go to the hellfire, that's what they believe. And he could not go to heaven either, so he was forced to wander with aid around the earth with a single candle to light his way. The candle was placed into a turnip first to keep it burning longer. Then when the Irish came to America in the 1800s, they adopted the pumpkin instead of the turnip. Okay? Along with these traditions, they brought other things like that the black cat was supposed to be the evil spirit that reincarnated, and so on and so forth. So many beliefs that come from paganism. Very quickly, I'll try to give you the Christian perspective. I'm sure that our brother Todd is very familiar with this. When you take a close look at the symbols that make up Halloween, it is impossible to deny their evil nature, since they primarily consist of evil things, witches and monsters and ogres and vampires and ghosts and etc., goblins, demons, all of that stuff. In fact, Halloween is widely recognized as the ultimate day, like I said, of celebration of Satanists, the people that worship a shaitan. So, of course, if you look in the Bible, it encourages Christians to avoid participating in pagan activities. I mean, this is people that read the Bible and see what's in it. They'll see that very, very clearly. Is it Ephesians or Ephesians? Yeah, Ephesians 5:11. It says, take no part in the worthless deeds of evil and darkness, instead rebuke and expose them. SubhanAllah. So, also we found in Exodus 22:18, you shall not let a witch live. And this is something that was actually practiced. They used to burn them to the stake. Deuteronomy 18:10-12, let not one be found amongst you who sacrifices his son or daughter in the fire, who practices divination, sorcery, interprets omens, engages in witchcraft, or casts spells, or who is a medium or spiritist, or who consults the dead. Anyone who does this, anyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord. SubhanAllah. So clearly, when these things are mentioned in the Bible, but a lot of parents don't see a problem with allowing their children to celebrate Halloween. These parents, because they celebrated it themselves when they were young, and believe that Halloween is both completely harmless and fun. But most of them don't know that Halloween is deeply rooted in evil. So when they participate in Halloween, they can often send a subtle message to others that there's no need to seriously consider the realm of spirits and what's in the unseen, what we call as Muslims the unseen, because the unseen does exist. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warned us about the shayateen. They are there. They can see us, we can't see them, so they have the advantage. We have to be very careful about not opening the door of evil, subhanAllah. But people, they unfortunately don't see it that way. They, even the types of costumes in which they dress their children can have a deep effect on them. A lot of them is a representation of evil. They don't see the long-lasting effects that kind of stuff will have on them when they grow up and they become adults. They see what is supposed to be seen and perceived as evil, they see it as a normal thing. Just yesterday, actually, yesterday or 2 days ago, I was in Sam's shopping. And one of the people working there, two cashiers, they were talking to each other. She came and she told her co-worker, just like that, and they're in the middle of working. They're supposed to be dealing with customers, but they're so, they have their minds somewhere else. She's like, I had either a premonition or an epiphany. I can't remember exactly the word she used. I am going to be the devil. Just like that. I am going to be the devil. Just like that. Oh yeah? And they started talking about how the costume is going to look like. Because she wants to be the devil. SubhanAllah. You see how, where this thing gets? It started as something as harmless fun. They dress as pirates and things like that. And all of a sudden when they're older, who do they want to be? The devil. SubhanAllah. But they don't realize, they don't understand that these things can have long-lasting effects on the psyche of a child until he starts seeing evil things as good things. A case in point, most people in America, they love to watch what kind of movies these days? Horror movies. That's what you see everywhere, subhanAllah. And I mean, who in his right mind wants to see that? Who in his right mind wants to see that? And what kind of pleasure could you possibly find in those things? But people do that because to them, subhanAllah, it's a normal thing. There's nothing wrong with being the devil. There's nothing wrong with being a shaitan. That's why when they're exposed to devil worshipping Satanism, they join. Because it's a choice. I mean, I can choose to do that. It's no problem. What's wrong with that? Actually, it's fun. And then all of a sudden you find your son or your daughter in a cult like that. SubhanAllah, there's a guy by the name of Anton Sandor LaVey. Heard of him? Yeah. He's a famous Satanist and he's the author of a book, Satanic Bible. He said that after one's birthday, did I mention birthday earlier? That is from paganism. He said after one's birthday, the two major satanic nights are the Walpurgis night and Halloween. Or Walpurgis night is a German thing. And Halloween, these are the two most important nights for them. In John, in 3 John 1:11, it says, Beloved, follow not that which is evil, but that which is good. And he that doeth good is of God, and he that doeth evil has not seen God. Many other passages that our Christian friends are supposed to follow, because they said this is their book. They're supposed to read this stuff and follow it. But the majority of them, when you have a conversation with them, the majority, they have not read the book that they claim they follow. And the ones that do read the Bible, guess what happens to them? Who can guess? The ones that really read the Bible, what happens to them? No, it leads them to Islam, my friend. It leads them to Islam. In majority, the ones that are fair, the ones that look at it in a fair way, subhanAllah, it leads them to Islam. I have many other passages, but subhanAllah, for the sake of time, I will jump to the Islamic perspective, because we're here to speak about Islam in general. That's what we teach here. But in conclusion, based on some of the proofs that we saw, the Bible warns Christians from celebrating such a night of Satanism, a night of evil, a night of wickedness. Furthermore, Christians are commanded not to try to Christianize the pagan days, the pagan holidays, like they've been doing all throughout history, because it does not change anything. It does not change the fact that those things are from paganism. Now, what would surprise you and shock you for the ones that don't know this, at first it was the Celts putting offerings of vegetables and fruits for the so-called evil spirits so that they don't harm them or harm their livestock, or what they call pulling in tricks on them. After that, it became animal sacrifice, and after that, what happened? It became what? Human sacrifice. So this is, subhanAllah, something that is deeply rooted in evil, that even the Christians have to stay away from. The Islamic perspective, and it's very clear and known to everybody, Iman, faith, is the foundation of our society, the Islamic society. The Tawheed, the belief in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the essence of our faith. Without the Tawheed, there is nothing, right? If a person ascribes partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what happens to him? What happens to his deeds? What is that? Put it into words. 0? You gave me a number. What am I going to do with a number? What happens to the deeds of a person? Hisham. What is that? You have sand on your hands? What is that? Put it into words. His deeds are rendered null and void. They're gone. Allah musta'an. لَإِنْ أَشْرَكْتَ لَيَحْبَطَنَّ عَمَلُكَ وَلَتَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. If you were to ascribe partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, verily your deeds will be rendered null and void, and you will certainly be from the ones that will lose. And the one thing that we cannot afford to lose, we can afford to lose wealth, we can lose property, even some of our health, even our lives. But subhanAllah, you cannot afford to lose your chance to go to Al-Jannah. And subhanAllah, ashirk, ascribing partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's what it will do to a person. You come to Allah with all the deeds in the world, if you don't have tawheed, then you have nothing. A'udhu billahi min dhalik. So, in order to keep our societies, our ummah purified, we have to purify of all traces of shirk, associating partners with Allah. And subhanAllah, to purify it from also any remnant of error. SubhanAllah, and serious efforts have to be made from all of us, especially ones that we have that have children. We have to make serious efforts to keep our children away from these practices. Even though they see them in school, they see that their friends are doing it, but we have to give them that identity. Listen, yes, they're your schoolmates, yes, they are your friends, no problem, but you are a Muslim. You are different from the others. A Muslim has a responsibility. A Muslim is a carrier of a flag, is a carrier of a torch, he is a carrier of the inheritance of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So you cannot be looking right and left and looking at what the others are doing, because you have a responsibility, a big responsibility awaits you, that you have to carry the flag of this deen, to bring it to others, and more importantly, to bring it to your own offspring, because we don't know how many of your descendants would live here in the West, in a non-Muslim setting, a non-Muslim country. You do not want your children or any grandchildren, any great-grandchildren carrying your last name and that's it. Because that would be a big loss for you. It is something that you will be asked about in your grave.